Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. To begin our program, there are certain formalities we go through, and I appreciate everyone's participation in this if we could. To begin, what we'd like to do is ask you all to stand so that we have the presentation of colors by the City of Fort Lauderdale Police Department Honor Guard. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So I'd ask you to please remain standing and to sing our national anthem tonight. We are blessed with the presence of the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. And if you could please come on stage, gentlemen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you. Wasn't that great? So we now would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we've asked that Sophie Polyakov from the Florida Children's Theater to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, with the colors now being retired, I would ask that if we could please invite Father Michael Grady of St. Anthony Catholic Church to deliver tonight's invocation. Father Grady.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we ask your blessings upon our beloved city and the men and women who serve it so faithfully. Bless our police officers, firefighters, first responders, and all who serve our community. May we work together to make our community a welcoming place for all. We ask this in your name, and may Almighty God bless you all. Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Tonight is my first State of the City address to this community, and I really appreciate the support that everyone has given me, certainly with the election and now through the course of the year, trying to undertake a number of different initiatives with the support of my colleagues on the commission, as well as the support of those folks who sit on the dais and who work very hard together to try to get things done in our community, all for the betterment of our community. So not only do we gather here for my first State of the City speech as mayor, but we're also here to recognize several individuals for their service to our community. It's the first time we've combined these two important occasions, and we do so at such a wonderful location, the NSU Art Museum. Isn't this a fabulous place, everybody? I hope you've all had a chance, and if you didn't, we must take that opportunity to see the wonderfully curated exhibit of Renoir and the Glackens combined artwork that we now are exhibiting I believe through the month of May. So please be sure that you all have an opportunity to see that. And I have to say, nothing like this could have ever been accomplished without the leadership and guidance of the director of the. Oh, did I not tell you that it's $500 if your phone goes off? Okay. Without the fine leadership and direction of the wonderful Bonnie Clearwater here at the museum. And of course, I want to thank the Gay Men's Chorus. Weren't they absolutely fantastic? Our Police Honor Guard, the Florida Children's Theater, and Father Grady. And of course, you listen to the tunes of the South Florida Pride Wind Ensemble outside in the patio. Just a wonderful night, wonderful reflection, and great atmosphere in which to begin, I feel, what will be a solemn moment tonight to reflect upon what's gone on in our city over the past year. So in addition to having recognized all of our local leaders and our national and state leaders, I have to say that if it wasn't for the people of this community, we would not be able to accomplish as much as we have in this past year. This community is so engaged and so wonderful to work with. Each individual is so caring and interested in seeing for the betterment of this community. And tonight we have that opportunity to recognize several of those people, which we'll talk about later tonight. But everyone in the city deserves a medal to be able to be recognized for the efforts that they make, whether it be in their condo association, their neighborhood association, or on one of the advisory boards. It's really a commitment, and that I feel that not everybody is expected to make, but those that do, we really appreciate all the work that you do. So this past year, we have brought an attitude of new ideas and new opportunities to improve the city of Fort Lauderdale and to truly make it the world-class city that it has become. Commissioners, certainly been a privilege and continues to be a privilege to work with all of you, Vice Mayor, and we look forward to another term or two or three. And also, I want to also shout out again to our staff, our newly appointed city manager, Chris Lagerbloom. Thank you, Chris, for willing to take as well as our newly appointed city attorney, Alan Boileau. Thank you, Alan. Our city auditor could not be here tonight, but I have to tell you, I sit next to the city clerk through all of our meetings, and thank God I have you next to me to guide me through those meetings. You're a great talent, and thank you so much for being part of our city, Jeff. So it was a year ago. Where were we? We were at the Parker Playhouse celebrating, right? It was a wonderful moment, a wonderful time, and a refreshing change in our city that we're going to see the city taken in a new direction, and we're very excited about that. And it can only happen with the cooperation and the commitment that we together have of those that are sitting here on the stage. I spoke about how the City Commission had a mandate to get things done and about how we were starting a new day in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Those are the things we talked about in Parker Playhouse, and how we were a city poised for greatness. It's been a great year, and let's talk about some of the things that we were able to accomplish this past year. When the City Commission came to office, our city was reeling from the embarrassment of sewage spilling into our streets. Remember that? The state forced our hand as a result of the years of our failure to maintain our infrastructure. Today, new 30-inch mains have been installed downtown to replace the ones that were broken. New lift stations were built and old ones rehabilitated. Projects are still underway to reduce stormwater from entering the sewage system and overwhelming it. In addition, the Commission has made a commitment to stop raiding the Water and Sewer Fund to balance the budget. Instead, the Commission has made the choice to return those funds back to where they belong so that we can return to the program of restoring our sewer and water systems so that they work for our city and have the money spent where it was intended. Commission also told staff that we need to look beyond those just initial improvements, however. Major projects include water main construction in Victoria Park and Croissant Park. Particularly, we need to We need to start looking at what's going on in our water treatment plants. Five Ash treatment plant over there on 95 has far surpassed its useful life. Where are we going with it? What are we going to do? I think we put the last Band-Aid on it. We need to make some very, very important decisions as to where we're going with that. As it happens, all this work has not gone unnoticed. You've all heard of Erin Brockovich, and for some reason she decided that Fort Lauderdale needed some attention. And but we heard the message, and just last week we met with a representative of her organization, and I have to tell you, they think that we are a sterling example of how a city can be turned around and how good things could happen. So we're very proud, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, for making this happen. In addition to that, however, we all know that we're faced with greater challenges, climate change. We do say those words here in Fort Lauderdale. Sea level rise is real, and many of our neighborhoods increasingly flood during the heavy tides, the king tides, and heavy rains. And we need to take action, and we have taken action. And the reality is that this coming April, after we've done the rate study program and so forth, we are looking for ways to try to combat sea level rise. Let me just say this: there's no silver bullet in this challenge and this undertaking. We can't say, oh, we're gonna build a wall out in the water and hopefully the water won't come through. We all know that walls don't work, right? But there are incremental changes that we can make. And this commission and our city staff, our public works department, and the talent that we've been able to draw into our city are heading those challenges head on. And we're very pleased with the progress we've been able to make, and so is Erin Brockovich. So we're very pleased with that. Homelessness, right? Let's applaud the combined effort of the county, the city, United Way, and the private sector. Thank God, Mike Jackson, for helping to spearhead the Broward Collaborative for homelessness. He should get an award. Oh, I think you are. Yeah. So what happened? How did it all of a sudden happen? Year after year after year, Fort Lauderdale had an encampment. It was a tent, an encampment, pushing them, shoving them, trying to put them under the rug, knowing it doesn't work, trying to arrest them. Thank God that we had some champions in this community. I'd like to take a moment and pay my respects to Arnold Abbott, who was long a champion for the underserved and underappreciated, and he passed away last week. A gentleman who's 94 years old, Navy veteran, who fed the homeless and I think was a champion for all. So thank you, Arnold, for being there in our community. But it wasn't until we collaborated with the private sector and the county and United Way that we were able to finally realize that there were ways to eliminate the encampment, and we finally eliminated the encampment. That doesn't mean that it's over. Obviously, there are homeless people that still live and walk throughout our city day after day, but we've taken on the challenge. And in addition to finding homes for those that were at the encampment, we also started what's called a community court. What is a community court? We are working with the Broward County court system, and the chambers of the city commission are where we hold court every Wednesday morning. What we do is we take homeless people off the streets, find them services, whether it be addiction or mental health, or whether it be housing or they need a job, or sometimes all they need is an ID. And we're able to work with them to try to get them back on their feet. And through this homeless court, we're able to triage those individuals who didn't have any place else to turn. So I applaud Jack Tudor, the chief judge, and everyone on his staff who has worked very hard to make this happen. And we are going to eradicate homelessness as much as we can here in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So thank you. So along with homelessness, is an ancillary problem which every city, every growing city has, and that is affordable housing. Many people are homeless because they can't afford the rents or the price of a home. So this commission, and I thank this commission for having the sensitivity for knowing that affordable housing is a priority in this commission. We have taken the cue from the county that new construction, we need to incorporate affordable housing portions of new construction so that people can afford to live in the newly emerging areas. And we're also encouraging other landlords and other developers to take advantage of the tax credits that there are to bring more affordable housing. Because where do you think the workers live who work in these beautiful hotels and wonderful restaurants and bars that we're building throughout our city? They have to live 2 hours away from here. That is not fair. That is not right. Every urban planner has said that in order to assure a vital and sustainable downtown, you need a mixed demographic of individuals to be able to sustain that downtown. And that's what we're going to do. We understand, we've read it, we've learned it, we've heard it, and now we're going to pursue it. And so we will pursue a more aggressive path on affordable housing in our downtown so that everyone, bank tellers, kids that are just coming out of college, restaurant workers, housekeeping individuals who work in our hotels, they'll have a place to live right here, right near where they work. So this is an important goal of ours, and you'll hear more about it. Affordable housing is how we're going to keep the youth coming back from college and saying, Mom and Dad, I don't want to live with you, but I have a place on my own, and we're going to make sure that that happens. Thank you. The number one complaint we hear in this city is traffic. Boo. Well, it didn't happen overnight, so it's not going to go away overnight. So, and no, scooters are not the answer. So, but they help out. And the thing is that we recognize from the start that we had to really look more holistically at the traffic patterns and goals that this city needs to pursue. And one of the things that this commission knew from the get-go was that we did not want to be buried in debt with a streetcar system that was going nowhere. And so the first thing we did as a commission was we decided to terminate the wave streetcar system. It got too expensive. Whatever was the notion back in the early 2000s when I was first a commissioner, when the price tag was like $35 million, somehow mushroomed to over $200 million. And who was going to pay the difference? Us, you, me. Not fair. But guess what? The traffic planners came up with another idea that's going to be more effective and cost 1/10 the price by going through a one-way, what they call downtown circulator, changing the Andrews Avenue and 3rd Avenue directions, making a dedicated bus lane so that even if the wave was constructed, it would have still been stuck in traffic. But now we're going to avoid that process. This is an example that we have learned from other cities successfully, and that we're going to adopt it here in Fort Lauderdale. That's how you get rid of traffic. But guess the other way is getting rid of traffic. Making sure that when you live downtown, you can walk to the grocery store. You can walk to the drugstore. You can get your hair done downtown, right? And I applaud Stiles Corporation for finally agreeing to put a grocery store downtown in their new building called the Main, so that people can walk to the grocery store. So if you can walk, you don't need to get into your car to get what you need in daily life. You can live downtown, you can shop downtown, you can work downtown, you can enjoy downtown, and you don't need a car. That's how you create a sustainable urban environment. And that's what we're going to do here in Fort Lauderdale. I want to applaud the efforts of Vice Mayor Sorensen, who continues to work on the 17th Street traffic issue. We are working collaboratively with the county because the county is planning to move forward with an expanded convention center and a new convention center hotel. The county is proposing alternative road routes, which are definitely going to help the traffic situation on 17th Street. The vice mayor has picked up the work that the previous commissioner, Romney Rogers, had initiated, and thank you so much for continuing to work on that and making sure that we have a success on 17th Street. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things about traffic in the next year, the next 2 years. You're going to hear about, how are we going to eliminate all these tie-ups of the train. The bright line that keeps increasing the frequency of their trains and those long freight trains. Should we build a tunnel for the train tracks? Should we build underpasses under the east-west corridors? All kinds of suggestions are going to be made, and we're going to have to address and consider each one, see what's economically feasible, but certainly we need to do something about the flow of traffic here in Fort Lauderdale. We're thankful that the community voted for the 1-cent sales tax, and hopefully the county will now take those resources and apply them so that the commuters that come into our community will have rapid transit in and out, and that we'll be able to eliminate or at least alleviate the frustration and the congestion that we often feel on a day-to-day basis. So thank you, Dale Holness, thank you, Lamar Fisher, for all the work you're doing in that regard. So, what are the possibilities? What's going on in the future? What are we thinking of doing? Have you heard about the bond issue? Right? You got a few of those flyers in the mail? What are we trying to accomplish there? I'll tell you what we're trying to accomplish. One of the things that people love the most about Fort Lauderdale is its recreational opportunities and options. And we as a city and as a commission are not doing our job if we don't continue to improve what we have upon and enhance the conditions we already have. The Parks Bond in particular is intended to create more parks, rehabilitate the ones we have already, and create a family-friendly environment that people want to think Fort Lauderdale is all about. And it is a family-friendly environment. And guess what? To enhance that family-friendly environment, today I received from our city attorney that the Florida gun shows finally dropped their case against us. It's a good thing because they were going to lose. So what was that about? It was about guns in the middle of a kid's playground, right? But it's not so much that we don't, look, people have a right to bear arms. People have a right to learn how to use weaponry. People have rights in all that regard. But we were faced with an opportunity, which I'm hoping we're going to pursue, where private interests are looking to convert the War Memorial Auditorium into a field, an indoor soccer field and lacrosse field. Now, how many more kids can play there than those that might attend a gun show? So it was the right choice. It was the right choice at the right time, and I feel that as we continue to work with these folks, these private investors, hopefully we'll be able to continue to enhance the sporting options that we have here in our city. In addition to that, you may have heard about overtures that are being made to the city about Lockhart Stadium. Again, another opportunity to save the city money by allowing private interests to come in and rehabilitate the soccer fields, allow for major league and minor league soccer to be played there, as well as to open it up to the community so the kids can play soccer there. That's the important thing. Those are the things, the options that we're trying to increase and improve upon. And the bond issue is what that's all about. In addition, you'll know that we are looking to pass a bond for a replacement of our police station. Why do we need a replacement of our police station? Well, I'll let you know one thing. Times have changed and we've become a much more violent society. And if we don't give the tools and the facilities of our law enforcement department to have in order to be able to confront those new challenges, then we are not doing the right thing for our people. This commission, I believe, is committed to doing the right thing. We will make sure that we don't spend every dime of this bond. We will make sure that those options that we have for an improved facility will be addressed one by one, and to ensure that we have the best facility in the United States. Because there's nothing more important than protecting our people on a day-to-day basis. And it's a shame that we have waited so long to do this, and we're hopeful that we can continue to receive support in this regard. Thank you. So guess who else needs a little room? We're also looking to make some changes here at City Hall. We have been talking with the county as well as with other representatives in the federal government to create a government campus. Have any of you heard about this? So let me tell you a little bit about it. City of Fort Lauderdale has had its city hall for at least 5 decades, maybe going on 6. And the city and the county also, their building is a little long in the tooth, I think, right, gentlemen? And everyone's expanding. Our offices, we have to rent offices all over the city because we cannot put everything under one roof, and our current building is falling apart. So we're talking, nothing to report tonight, but just to let you know, we're talking about combining the 2 government buildings so that we can save money, create efficiencies that will allow the community to not have to spend as much money as if we did it individually. And the good thing now is we're going to consider putting a federal courthouse, which the federal government has already approved, right in the downtown. Keep it downtown so that we have a government campus, make it easier for people to get around, get out of their cars, and be able to still function in a very important and sustainable way with their government, whether it be the federal government, the county government, or their local government. It's a great thing, and I'm looking forward to talking more with the community about it. So we've talked about the bond issues. Let's talk about the general state of the city of Fort Lauderdale. You may have heard so many things about, in the news about where Fort Lauderdale stands. It's considered the top city for growth in South Florida by the U.S. Census Bureau. The U.S. Census Bureau, right? According to Forbes, it's one of the happiest cities in the country. According to Biz2 Credit, it's one of the best places in the country to start a new business. And Bloomberg, just a few weeks ago, identified 21 cities around the world where that should be on your bucket list. Guess which one was on it? Fort Lauderdale, right? It was on my bucket list and I never left. So we are very pleased, we're very encouraged, and we're very thankful for all that has taken place this past year to allow so many good things to happen in our city. So what else is on the horizon? We have a lot of new things. This April, God willing, we're going to have, finally, the groundbreaking for the International Swimming Hall of Fame, right? This is so important to our city because Fort Lauderdale is about swimming and diving, right? It is the capital of it. We shall never give up the crown of being the focus and the center of that sport. And we're actually in talks with the diving community about building the second only 27-meter diving platform in the world. The other one is in China, and I'd rather be in Fort Lauderdale. So we're working on that. You'll see some exciting things, but the groundbreaking ceremony will be in April. You're all welcome to attend when we finally arrive upon a date. So as you all know, tourism is our mainstay here in Fort Lauderdale. Tourism, real estate, the marine industry, those are the things that have really kept us going, the economic engine. And over 13 million people visited Broward County this past year. 13 million. And our unemployment rate is like 3.1%. Where are we going? We have a thriving, bustling economy. So this commission's main goal is to keep that engine going and at the same time try to manage the growth and to ensure that the communities that already are here, the condominium buildings, those on the beach, the homes further west, that their quality of life is never infringed upon as we try to manage the growth that's coming into Fort Lauderdale. Because if we don't manage the growth properly, we have abdicated our role as community leaders. So we are going to ensure that whatever new growth comes to our community, that no neighborhood is going to be infringed upon and their quality of life sacrificed. So what are you seeing? You're seeing so many new buildings happening. The Auberge on the beach. How many of you have been to Dune Restaurant? Amazing place, right? The Four Seasons is constructing its new building. I see the pilings going in. We're getting an iPic theater on Federal Highway. And again, another great thing happening to our city. These are the types of things that make Fort Lauderdale an exciting place to live. Have any of you seen the new parking garage with that beautiful lighted LED thing? It's a great garage. Wait till you see the park when it's finished. You're going to say, oh my God, why didn't we think of this before? It's a beautiful concept, and we're going to really enjoy it. And I think you'll really appreciate the decision that was made. So as we go forward, we're talking about a lot of new ideas up and down the city. Uptown, downtown, the center part of the city. We're really looking to make sure that not one area of town is left out of the process. You'll notice in the Northwest, along Sistrunk Boulevard, new construction, the refacing of older buildings, making them look new. The idea of incorporating affordable housing, mixed-use housing, finding job opportunities for everybody. Fort Lauderdale is for everybody. I'll tell you something. There's a corporation that moved into Fort Lauderdale called Kemet Industries. I don't know if you've seen their sign. It's right across the street from the City Hall. And they're a European company. And I had the chance to meet with the CEO several months ago. And I asked him, I said, you've got 6,000 employees around the world. Your headquarters has been in Europe as well as North Carolina. What brought you to Fort Lauderdale? Why did you come here? He grabs my shoulder and he says, Mayor, I like that. He says, Mayor, it's the diversity of your community. He said, we appreciate, it's the signal is going out around the world how diverse Fort Lauderdale is, between its ethnic cultures, between its religious cultures, between orientations. Everything about Fort Lauderdale has gotten out there. And I'm moving the company more and more to Fort Lauderdale. That's what I love to hear. Why do people come here? Because we're a great place to live. We embrace diversity, we embrace different cultures, and that is the strength of our city, and that's what sets us apart from almost any other city here in the state of Florida. Thank you. So despite all the news you hear about violence and about, really terrible things that happen in the schools and shopping centers and airports, City of Fort Lauderdale is blessed, and I want to thank our police chief, Rick Maglione, for the wonderful job he's doing as our police chief. Crime is down 9% over this past year, so thank you so much. We've equipped almost every one of our police officers with body cameras and new equipment, and this is a continuing effort along with the new police station to make sure that our police department is make sure that they have everything they need to prevent crime and to, when crime does occur, to make sure we find the culprits. So thank you so much, Chief Maglione. Now, I also want you to know that Fort Lauderdale has another commitment, and that is to protect our kids in the schools. And we understand that after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, it was a wake-up call here and so local. I mean, it happened before, but somehow we didn't get the message. And it takes tragedy like this for us to get the message sometimes, sadly. City of Fort Lauderdale is committed to making sure that school resource officers or some kind of protective guardianship exists in all of our schools, whether they be in high school, whether they be in middle school, or in elementary school. We continue to work with our school board to ensure that the kids are protected at every level. And I think a particular shout out needs to go to a person in this room who really took the mantle and led the charge in ensuring that the message of gun violence and gun control be heard around the country, and that goes to our very own Congressman Ted Deutsch. Thank you, Ted, for everything. Boy, they gave me a lot to read, but I'm not going to. So we've done some great things. We have, so in talking about diversity, we have probably the best St. Patrick's Day parade in Florida, right? Wouldn't you say that? Yeah. And just this past weekend, we saw the biggest pride parade in the history of the city of Fort Lauderdale. Some 30,000 people were estimated to have attended that parade and the festival over the course of the weekend. We're really doing great things. Our Broward Center, the Performing Arts Center. Why is it that Hamilton came here before it went anywhere else? Because of the wonderful people that run what we have there. Kelly Shanley, thank you so much. I'm not sure if you're here in the crowd, but my hat goes out to you. Your ability to keep the lights on in that place. We have a world-renowned Performing Arts Center. It's one of the top 10 in the entire country in terms of attendance, and it's only because of the quality of leadership that we are able to have here in Fort Lauderdale. In addition to that, we have new leadership at the Museum of Science. Joe Cox has moved down from Worcester, Massachusetts, and in 1 year has completely turned that place around. Now it's a real science museum. There are things to do and see. And I encourage you to continue to go there and contribute to the efforts of the Science Museum, because Fort Lauderdale is one of those places where you can actually appreciate the outdoors while you're indoors. In addition to those museums, I encourage you all to migrate your way over to Fat Village some night, especially the last Saturday of every month. Have any of you been there? Yes, the Art Walk. How wonderful is that? So we are committed as a commission to ensure that the arts in Fort Lauderdale thrive in terms of the Art Walk, the Food in Motion, and all the other activities that take place in the Flagler Village area, along with the Mass Art District, which continues on a day-to-day basis. These kind of organic, thriving enterprises are what is going to sustain a youth-oriented, vibrant, creative class that I hope will migrate in Fort Lauderdale, and to stay here. That's what we need here in Fort Lauderdale, and it's working. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the arts. So we have did any of you get to go? There's also this past weekend, we had the Sis-Drunk Street Festival. We also have the Martin Luther King Parade. We have so many things going on around the city. So we have the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Sis-Drunk Parade. How many of you see the anchor on New Year's Eve? Did any of you come down to Himmershey Street, right? So the lowering of the anchor is so unique to Fort Lauderdale. Why? Because we're the yachting capital. We should have it. Let Miami have the orange. New York will have the apple. We are the yachting capital. And there are thousands and thousands of people that come out that night. You should all be part of it, because that's part of the unique culture of Fort Lauderdale. So we have the air show. We have the Great American Beach Party. We have Christmas on Las Olas, Day of the Dead. This weekend, we're actually starting a Mardi Gras and Carnival-themed procession right here at Huizenga Plaza. Be there, 6 o'clock p.m. Those are just to name a few of the types of exciting, free, family-oriented things that we do here in our community. So let me tell you, it's really been an honor to be able to represent this community as mayor. And it's been an honor to be able to work with each and every one of my colleagues here on the commission, as well as the manager and the attorney and the clerk, as well as our auditor, everybody who works together to make Fort Lauderdale a better place for all of us. So, as I close, I just want to take a moment to remember some of those community leaders that have passed. In particular, I want to recognize Wayne Huizenga. I want to recognize Jack Ireland, John Weaver, Ron Centimore, Marilyn Rathbun, Birch Wiley, and as I mentioned earlier, Arnold Abbott. May they rest in peace, but just to know that their contributions to Fort Lauderdale will continue to live on, and I think they deserve a round of applause. So who would have thought that a trading post from 100 years ago would have turned into the megapolis that we have today? Amazing. But it's all good. It's all good because America has changed. We're no longer a collection of corn and bean farms. We're a collection of people, and what the people can create and what the vision that they have and share. And that's what's going to take Fort Lauderdale into this next century. That's the most important thing that we have as a commodity here, and that is the goodwill and the vision of its people. So to my fellow commissioners, I appreciate the work that we've done over this past year, and I want to thank the over 2,600 employees that we have on our city staff, and especially our police and fire for those that protect us. Amazing, the first responders, unlike any other talent that you see in this state. When people come from all parts of the world to do their training in Fort Lauderdale, there's a reason, because we have great talent and great leadership. And my hat goes off to our new fire chief, Rhoda May Kerr. Thank you so much. I'm not sure, Rhoda, if you're here, but thank you. And I want to continue to work with you because, hey, let's not dream small, let's dream big, and let's make it happen. So thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your being here.